Hi, Facebook friends. We're back again. Hi, welcome to another forum under the tree. And it is indeed hot.
Under
So, our topic today is same sex relationships. And we are so happy that you have joined us again. Above all, we are very happy for the pre-program responses that we have gotten from some of our followers. We asked the question, what are the reasons why persons engage in same-sex relationships? And to make it easy for our viewers, we provided some choices. One of them was definitely the choice to be that way, whether it was a mental illness, whether it was the result of coercion or the need for money, and of course, nature itself. And we got a range of responses. Interestingly, no one actually thought that it was a natural existing condition where born that way. But as we engage in the discussion today, you will discover that a range of explanations do exist. And what we hope to do is to share some of those explanations and then, of course, look at our response to persons that are actually living what is now labeled the alternate lifestyle. But before we engage now, we're going to turn over to Tony, who's going to bring you up to date on the news in the Bahamas.
Hey, hello once again. I'm gonna bring you up to date on some interesting stuff in the news. It is amazing what happens in the Bahamas. The Bahamas is one of the greatest place on God earth, but boy, and we in trouble. You know, we had a protest. It's in the news. We do a recap of what happened in the week in the news. We had a protest, and after the protest, seems like Facebook, all the media went crazy. This one gotta go, that one gotta come, this one gotta go. But you know what I don't like about it is that the freedom of speech is being muscled. That's the key. All the other stuff is I don't really care about because Michael Jackson saying so. They don't care about us. That's a true statement. And so in the news this week that they had a protest, the police locked up everybody. Fine, 20 something was locked up. Then they released them. But that's not interesting. You know what is interesting? A day later, they had another protest. Who get locked up? Nobody. Double standard. Oh, you police. I don't know. The laws. I don't understand it. It's good for one and it's not good for the other. Hey, moving right along. The next story that is interesting. Did you see that? Did you watch last night in the news with Clint Watson? And K. Ford Smith, boy, her lip was red. You wouldn't believe it. She was sexy and red. One of the questions they asked, well, what about all the money? And Dorian, and she goes, um, we don't have money. NGOs, they're the ones who spend all the money on the ground and this. And then she said, oh, just the other day we opened an account, and then with that account, we could tell you most people don't who pledge. And then she said, oh, and then you know you need to bring in the Red Cross in here so they could tell you. And you know what? Okay, Ford Smith, I need to kiss that red lips of yours. You could twist the story. The question is, where is the money? How much money was spent, K. Ford Smith? Why did the people in Freeport were buried and the people in Abaco was dumped in the grave? That was the question. Answer the question. Your sweet lips. Moving right along, we have this, believe it or not, you got this voicemail going around. You hear the voicemail?
What
This
voicemail is
voicemail with
that?
this lady preaching. Hallelujah, Jesus. And y'all too ungrateful and this and that and this and that. But she preached about everything but the guys who protest and the guys who this and the nas on the. But she didn't preach about why Iran don't have a hospital, why Iran is still struggling. She didn't preach about why Freeport is still struggling today. She didn't hear. She need to go to Michael Pine Church. That voicemail, you are playing politics, baby. This is not the time, but we still love you because God still love everybody.
And
Fine,
so
that's in the news.
that's in the
Moving right
news.
along.
Okay, so we want to send special thank you to Cresswell, Chipman, aka Dawkins, Sharon Brown, Camille
It's hot.
Dean in Freeport, Marcia here in Nassau, and also Marcia from Jamaica. And of course, we have two Camille's and two Marcia. Camille, my colleague, Saunders King. And it was very interesting. And I think, Tony, as we look at same sex relationships, oftentimes we only look at it from a sexual perspective. But same sex relationships are our first relationships as human beings.
Very much so.
Almost naturally, we tend to go to persons that are like us. Even kids, the sex and the gender may not factor in the first instance, but a tiny person goes towards a tiny person. Female goes towards females. And these relationships continue through life. Okay? However, when we look at it in the sexual connotation, there are a number of different explanations as to why persons move towards same sex intimate relationships. And I think that's what we want to distinguish here, that we're talking about those intimate same sex relationships. Okay. And we have definitely socialization. But the one thing, and I think everyone would agree, that some persons are victims of sexual abuse in early childhood, and that abuse is portrayed by persons closest to them. Sometimes it's heterosexual abuse, but the homosexual abuse is often would cause some persons to maintain that pathway towards same sex intimate relationship with persons of the same sex. Okay?
So, so let's set the ground rules before we get into all of that.
Okay.
I will set the ground rules. Now, I'm in the camera. Look right in my face, folks. We designed this show to tell it straight from the ground perspective. So we coming straight at you. This is not to bash any religion, any
Okay.
sex, any. We are coming to help and open it up so we have a discussion that people understand it better. Okay. Now, you Negroes out there, let me tell you before you jump up. Me, Tony Williams, I believe, and a man and a woman. So we don't hit me up and talk all kind of foolishness because I ain't doing that. And you know what? Now we get in discussion, so I accept the ground rules. The ground rules. I don't understand what's going on, folks, in this same sex thing. 1 minute they're happy, next minute they're gay, next minute they're homosexual, next minute they're bisexual, next minute they're scientifically,
Yeah.
then next minute it's HBQ and QBC and SB. Listen to me, idiot. Love a woman as a man, or you love a man who loves a woman. All the other stuff, don't mix it up. That's straight. The rest of it, it is total confusion. Now, hold on. I know you're getting me. We're going to break that confusion down. That's where we at. See, that's where we going. Let me break it down for you even smaller. There's some people who live by the Bible.
Okay.
So there's some people, atheists, Scientologists, Buddhists, whatever, Muslim, whatever. They don't live by the Bible. So when we say Solomon and this one had a wife and this one sleep with it and this one was homosexual, the people can tell you, but oh well, the scientific say it is this genes against that genes and holy. Let me tell you, let me tell you, for the Christians, that's irrelevant. Them genes don't count, you know.
Well, let me.
Go
Can
back
I,
and
can
go
I
ahead.
say?
You can
Okay.
say whatever you want.
As Christians, right? We believe in creation.
Right.
We also believe that God created the woman for the man.
Right.
Okay? We also believe
Yeah, what, folks?
that sin
Bahamian
came into effect, and because of sin, we have a range of different malformations in the human body. Okay? Now, it is attributed to a genetic malformation at the chromosomal level that some individuals, not all individuals, but some individuals that are gay, homosexual, um, are persons who exhibit those traits from conception. And when you look at the science, you also see that there are variations, even in the physical manifestation. You have a range of individuals who have external genitalia that marks them from our knowledge as being male or female. But when you do further investigations, even as simple as a body scan, you discover what's on the inside doesn't correspond with what's on the outside. Okay? Right. I also came across a very long scientific debate where they've done the study on the brain of straight men and gay men, and the difference in the brain size is also there. Now, we know, as with every other aspect of our daily lives, we have a nature nurture controversy.
Right.
Is it nature or is it nurture? And I think these are the benchmarks that we really should use when we are addressing individuals that engage in same sex. Now, that's the scientific aspect. Now, we have the social aspect, which we talk about the sexual abuse, initiation of boys by older men, and that is global across the universe. I actually came across in my research where men of history,
from the Bible,
Alexander the Great,
and yeah, way back in there.
These were men that actually, and then there was also the freedom where men could have a homosexual relationship up to the point where he decide that when he become of a certain age now, he diverts from that sexual practice and finds himself a wife. So it's that freedom of movement across the spectrum from same sex to heterosexual.
And it's real. See, listen. Now since you set the ground rules, I'm gonna give you we every day what we do
real
life.
Real
we
life
can bring it to
Bahamas.
real life. We set the ground rules. There is a lot of men today who are married.
Yes.
but sneaking around with men and boys. Now, let me tell you why. Because they don't believe that is,
It's correct morally.
yeah, they believe it's just sex. Sex, the word sex. That's,
Okay.
it ain't.
So basically,
Mhm.
you're talking similar to a man who is married and just have sex with other women because they could.
Right.
So there are men who have sex with other men
Just
because
they
they
could.
can.
Yeah, it's sex for them. They so hot and so on the prowl. It doesn't matter. That is why they try to bring around the world today is that man and male and woman, male and female is the same. That's what they try. That is what the gender is. I mean, the movement is that it's okay to go man or woman. It doesn't matter. We're only humans. You got let me. You got a blank page. Let me show you. Let me show the public. Let me give you some
You don't
history
have
here.
to. You
Just give me a blank page and a pen. I want to give you a scale. I mean,
scale.
I want to do a scale. Give me the book. Just give me the book.
Oh,
Just
just
give me
use
the
the
book.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
use the
let
book.
me
I'm gonna give you a scale of something,
slip this in
and
there.
I bring this to you. See, we in the ghetto have some skills. Now, I don't. I can bring it closer. See, there's a scale, right? You can see that, and there's a line down the middle. I want you to look at this good, and this is equate to 50%. Now, there's a line here, and in this line is 25%. 25, 25. This will give you 25 and 25 will give you the
The
100%.
50,
The
right,
100%.
right.
Now I want to bring it closer so
They could see it.
you
Yeah.
could see it. Sure. Now I want you to watch this. This screw in here, they straight. This 50% straight. Make up their mind that I am a man or a woman. This straight. This 25 cent here ain't sure. They waving. This over here is totally lost. You know, homosexual gay. But it's the trouble is this 25% in here, this right here, this 25% here is where you having your problem in the world today. They mix up. See, this 25% here, they straight woman,
Straight
straight
homosexual
homosexual,
or
straight gay, straight lesbian,
okay.
straight. Over here is these. Let me tell you what this is here. These the folks who want to try it, but they ain't sure. This the folks who married. These the folks who married and dipping either way. These set right in the middle here, this 25% is dangerous. What they do, they the ones who will fool with your little child. When you send them to school, in the school, this happens in the schools a lot. So I just give you a scale of how this works. So think about, just break this down in the Bahamas. We're talking Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Think about 50% of the people in the Bahamas straight.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the other 50%, you got 25% total loss. Or when I say loss, I don't want to disrespect the homosexual and gay. I'm just
Basically,
Mhm.
they are clear that they prefer same
See,
gender
yeah,
relationships.
right.
So
Same gender.
they're not lost. They have actually made a
And then
decision
same
that
gender.
that is what they want to be.
Right.
Now, if you're talking from a religious perspective, which it seems that you are
I
speaking,
speaking from religion.
then they are considered lost because one of our respondents, Marcia from the Bahamas, said, and she quoted two scripture texts, Leviticus chapter 23, I think it was. Let me just do, but I know Leviticus 18, verse 23, and she also quoted Romans 1 24 to 32, which basically speaks of unnatural
And
affection.
not so
And
affections.
interestingly, I found again a theorist who basically, and a biblical writer, a commentarist, who said that it that particular text is simply saying it is not the norm, but it isn't saying that it is wrong.
Right. But let me go back to my scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
scale
yeah,
here.
yeah, the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And and think about what I said. Let's say it's how much people in the Bahamas? Not
Well,
children. We're talking about
total,
grown up. Let's say 100,000. We're talking about grown ups now. We ain't talking about kids.
we could say half of the population
Half of the
is
public.
18 and
So let's say
over.
400,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
and so we got two. We got 200,000.
250, roughly
Okay,
300,000.
250. So you're talking about 250 people that adults, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're talking about half of that.
Mm-hmm.
Think what I'm saying. So you're talking about almost 100,000 people
Mm-hmm.
who either think homosexual
Or
or
who?
homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
So in that bracket, we're talking about that half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let me explain to you some of the reason why it is real and why the statistics should, and you can look at the statistics and think about it, what I can say. If me and Melanie have a church today, and me and Melanie don't have a church, but let's say the church, we talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
most churches, the organist, the choir director, the deacon in the church, and the people know, and the pastor know, majority of them are homosexuals.
Okay.
All right. So, majority of the physical education teachers, girls, are lesbian. I just using where we go as we work every day. I just using a bit. So, first, let me go back. I don't want you biblical toting people.
The Bible told us.
The Bible told us who only faking your way through. You know exactly what I saying is true. The homosexuals are in the church. You know why they come to the church? Because they come because they have a problem. And they're looking for somebody to save their soul. And so you pastors, I going directly. You know it's true what I saying. Majority of them are in the church praising God. So when you preach on your pulpit about sissy, lesbian, and gay, you need to preach to your people in your church. You need to preach to them. See, because it's time that we. Let me tell you why I going down this long road and hit the point. Let me go to the point.
Go ahead.
It's time that the religious people accept these brothers and sisters who are homosexual and gay and try to work with. It's time. It's no more time to preach and bash them. It's time to say, "We love you. Come, let us help you." We can't. The Bible say the good and evil be with us always. So, in this homosexual, gay, what LGBT, whatever, all them.
LGBT.
Because to get confused a minute ago, I just
LGBT.
say, let's say, alternate sex, make it easy. Alternative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Let's say the alternative lifestyle people. We need to start loving them. The problem we don't love them because the more we push them away, this is what they use. They fighting for their rights. That's the word they use. Right?
So why do we push them away?
We push them because we're scared.
What are we afraid of?
We're scared of, oh, homosexual, boy. Remember that 25%?
Mm-hmm.
I get back that 25%. You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, let me hide because I want to come around me because she can tie me. That is facts.
That there actually is why we behave the way that we do. Number one, we don't understand the whole situation.
Exactly.
Number two, we are very judgmental and we reject and are afraid of what we do not understand. And if you are afraid of someone else, then you need to examine yourself.
Yeah.
Because it means that you yourself are not sure. Because who could persuade me to be what I have no desire of being? Now, you do have the vulnerable, right? But
We gotta
those
protect them.
vulnerable,
We gotta protect them.
those vulnerable
That's a
ones
different ballgame.
are again in that 25%. Because let me say, we send our children abroad to school, okay, or bring it even home, because of the way we communicate our beliefs, and we are so rigid that the public know that our children have this,
Potential to be.
I almost say deviant, but it is deviant to the norm, but it isn't deviant when you look at the purity of these innocent individuals. Number one, the child who, there was someone who spoke of a relative in responding
Yeah.
to the question
Yeah.
that this relative exhibited, it's a female, but she exhibited a preference for boy clothing
Right.
and all of that. And it was not until she was out of the control of her parents that she fully manifested that preference. Why? Do we discuss sexuality with our children in our
We're afraid to
homes?
do that. We're afraid because if you discuss when a girl get 15 and she started to little act out, they that you see like they this the signs. Some of the signs be they lock themselves in the room because they're on the phone trying to talk to this.
The privacy
Yeah.
element,
And then
right?
then you got the next one where they back talk you with everything. They challenge you at everything because you won't allow them to have their boyfriend, right? And then you won't allow them to talk to you about the male, and so you frustrate them. That's all you do, frustrate them. So they go underground. Now, underground is where all the monsters is.
Okay.
So once you go underground, the learned behavior happens because the fella underground or the girl underground is a monster because all they see is their agenda and what they want,
Okay.
and they wouldn't stop at no cost. No cost. Parents, no cost. Parents, you have to be so careful. This is where I sit down many times and have conversation with. I ain't talking what I don't know. I'm talking about people come to me, bring their kids. I talking about what I know. When you talking about demons, you talking about some serious. You talking about serious demons. If you hear the stories, you'll faint. Sometimes all I want to do is get emotional and cry because I gotta cry because when you hear the story, Melanie, when you think your child is going to church with you and your child is a great and finest, prettiest thing because she dressed up and she's serving God, and you don't know that child is a monster inside because somebody else. Now let me tell you, she got the monster. Let me tell you, she got the monster. Go ahead,
Can we
somebody.
not call them a monster, but basically someone who is living two frames
Yeah,
of life.
yeah, two friends of life.
The child is a saint in your presence, but the child's true emotion, the child's true desire is not being expressed because you as a parent has a closed mind to anything that you yourself do not practice or do not believe in. Okay?
But let me tell you why I say monster. I can change the word since she'll be nice. I'd be nice. Let me tell you why I say change monsters. Let me say spirits. That sound better? Okay.
That's it. That's
Now,
it. That's it.
parents, listen to this. The key is this. If your child, your son, encounter a male figure and they have this intercourse. Let me say, I can teach, I can help educate populace because this is real. And your child has this intercourse. And this spirit has transferred into this child. The spirit's now passed on to him. He has this spirit. This spirit is the hardest thing to break. Because let me break it down to you. In this spirit, this is his first encounter of sexual encounter.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bahamian times. This is sweet. This is this feeling that he probably never get in his life. It's like on coke. That's so sweet that he burning for it. It's like it's burning inside. So he don't even know how a woman feel. So he only know man to man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all he know. So he's now indoctrinated into this
Okay.
lifestyle.
So
And this is what happens. This is why underground is so difficult. So when you have your child and they start giving this issue right away, pay attention to it. It comes with I wanna go, I stay home, back talking. There's signs that it happened. This is why this is the part of the homosexual LGBT whatever I don't like. Long as they adults playing with one another, it's fine. But this is where I have a problem with same-sex marriage, right there.
okay, well, I agree with you when it comes to exploitation, and we want to say that exploitation does not only happen homosexually, it happens heterosexually.
Oh yeah, it does.
And that is why we have child protection acts, we have different health related departments established for parents to be able to take their children. But we don't want this thing to happen and then after the fact. What we need is basically, and it is a tough, tough, tough thing for parents to be able to recognize and also to be able to maintain a balance in their relationship with their children. And that's why we're going to look at parenting in another forum. But
parenting.
For homosexual, same sex, we have to somehow be able to engage our children in healthy discussions long before they are exposed on a one-to-one. There are persons within both the hetero and homosexual um, domain of sexuality that prey on the young. We have the pedophiles. We have, sadly, persons whose care our children are entrusted in, like Tony mentioned, the athletics. We have even in the church, sadly, where it is known that persons have, I guess, indoctrinated, but it is a relationship of trust. The child trusts the individual, the child, and we parents, because of our rigidity, we push our children in the direction of those individuals who will take them in. And the guile will be there, the passivity. You're encouraging them. Oh, you can be the best. Don't mind what mommy says. Mommy loves you, but mommy don't understand this, that, and the other. And of course, there's the element of secrecy. Once the child has been brought into that trust relationship, then you begin to, and that is why, the advocates for child protection would say to the child, there is no secret that you should not be able to share with your parents. It also promotes positive touching and all of that. Now, there's the other arena. When the child gets older into the teen, yes, we have established from the very onset that same sex relationships